So basically, actually, in our report, we tackle not only separatist radicalization, but also right-wing radicalization. This was like the third part of the report, but we thought it was very useful to understand also how different radicalization strands can join and can be mixed, and also a specific context like that of South Tyrol. So if you wanna change slides. So very briefly, just to give you a bit of a context, we focused on South Tyrol, which is the Alpine region between Italy and Austria, inhabited by German and Latin-speaking populations. And it is a region that has experienced numerous boundaries changing, and more importantly, a process of Italianization after its annexation to Italy, and especially during fascism. After the Second World War, and in particular from the early 60s to the late 80s, these tensions between different language group and the population in the region exploded into a separatist attacks that before were towards symbols, and then became also more violent and towards authorities, especially police forces. Eventually, violence was diffused after the implementation of an advanced form of territorial autonomy. And now South Tyrol is considered as a successful laboratory of local autonomy and power sharing. However, it needs to be said that reconciliation between language groups is still challenged by old and new ethnic divides. And also, we have to say that these ethnicized political discourse resulting from this local autonomy and this system of power sharing, in the end, offers a fertile ground for the development of radical ethnic nationalist ideologies, which are often based on a distorted view of history, and also quite often, if not always, a nationalist, xenophobic ideology towards immigration. So the main two actors, let's say radical actors, let's say in the region, are those that can be grouped around Italian neo-fascism, which are historically driven by a need to constantly reaffirming the Italianness of the region, and German-speaking separatist discourse, increasingly embedded into the dynamics of right-wing extremism. In both cases, but above all with the pan-Germanist discourse, these radical forces are reinforced by transnational contacts between, in the case of German-speaking radicals, South Tyrolean skinheads and other pan-Germanist right-wing groups in both Austria and in Germany. Also, and I have to stress this, that members of the local association, such as the Südtiroler Schützenbund, or parties like the Freiheitlichen, endorse or disseminate sometimes revisionist, xenophobic, and or misogynist ideologies. And precisely on this point, we analyzed in our reports a rap song by a member of the Südtiroler Schützenbund called Mama Tyrol. And the SSB, or Südtiroler Schützenbund, is a private voluntary transnational association that has counterparts also in Austria and Germany, and also in the Italian neighboring province of Trentino. And it bears the legacy of the historic militia, and it protects, defends the homeland, the identity of the South Tyrolian people against internal and external enemies or threats. This is their scope, their goal. Next slide. Yeah, so the video we analyzed, as I said, was called Mama Tyrol. It was a rap song issued by a member of the Südtiroler Schützenbund, the one in the middle you can see in the picture. It was issued on the SSB YouTube account on December 31st, 2020, and it reached quite fastly more than 50,000 views. After a couple of days, already in January the 4th, a series of public reactions started to surface, both in local newspaper, mainly in German language, but also by parallel Austrian organizations. And these first reaction condemned the politicization of the Schützenbund, and also its engagement in the local separatist discourse. In on January 5, very importantly, the South Tyrolean Provincial Commission for Equal Opportunity for Women started a petition asking for the deletion of the video and a public apology of the rapper called Wirth Anderland. After a couple of days, local newspaper announced that the author had resigned for the commanding position inside the SSB. And finally, in mid-January, the SSB announced that they will take care of these internal reprisals at all levels, and that individual initiatives, without consulting with the federal leadership, were not accepted. So basically, the whole thing lasted 15 days, but it had a huge resonance, both locally and in the bordering provinces. Next slide. Thank you. So with regard to the video, which is not anymore available, it depicts overlays of rallies, marches, Catholic recollections, and above all, it depicts a perceived enemy, which is the Italian state, represented by the flag, Italian fascists, but also other threats at large, which in this case are made-up women, homosexuals, and immigrants. The text clearly conveys the narrative of historical injustices. So with this reimagination of history, and also perceived grievances by using, for instance, lines, I'm quoting, "Today we live in the South, in the wrong nation, surrounded by liars. My neighbor is a spy." The author, Anderland, uses therefore a typical us versus them rhetoric and asks the audience, where are the people who still represents our values as the South Tyrolean nation, and claims therefore that the only people remaining are migrant students and many prophets who want to save the planet, a clear reference to, for instance, Greta Thunberg, but forget their roots. So just to finish the analysis, next slide, thank you. The analysis, I'm not going into the analysis of all the comments, but basically most of the comments were positive, at least in social media, on the video, although there were many criticizing the author. What we understood is that in a transnational context, such as that of South Tyrol, these radical messages can resonate well beyond the local sphere, and they can gain support also by different actors and audiences in other areas outside the focus of the radical action. This transnational support can be perceived as an external legitimation by precisely by these individual radical actors. And then local organizations like the Südtiroler Schützenbund have demonstrated the ability to tackle this internal radicalism. However, the problem remains that individual members may still exploit their network, the network of these organizations, and the communicative tools, for instance, the Facebook page, the YouTube, all the audience these organizations have for other reasons, and gain therefore a wider audience, which is in some sense also a form of internal legitimation. Just to finish the presentation, the author of the rap video, after we issued the report, created another song, and then was one of the most prominent figures in South Tyrol, with regard to the no-vax movement. So here you can really see how different drivers of radicalization really intersect. So fascist, very conservative, separatist, but also new strands which can cause to resurface. Thank you.